Triple M Grill Team.
We're about to speak to a guy who's a Victoria Cross recipient. This guy oftentimes just say people are legends and heroes, but this guy is a bona fide legend.
I think he's
certainly a hero.
Yeah, they'll be still talking about this guy in 100 years' time. We're going to talk to him about Afghanistan and how Corporal Ben Robert Smith's been travelling after coming home. But here was Ben Robert Smith talking to Mike Willesee recently on Channel 7 on what he did to receive the Victoria Cross.
On the 11th of June 2010, in northern Kandahar, Ben's unit was assigned a high-priority mission to capture or kill a high-ranking Taliban leader. Ben watched as 50 metres below, one of the Taliban aimed a rocket-propelled grenade, or RPG, at the Black Hawk he was in.
The surgeon was able to get the rocket away. The pilot was able to do a minor evasive manoeuvre. The rocket basically went straight underneath the airframe. We didn't realise what we'd come up against, and in the end it was basically 4-1 odds, and we were certainly outpositioned and outgunned.
Despite being shot at from 3 different machine gun positions, they crawled forward to within 40 metres of the Taliban until they could go no further. As enemy fire continued to pour down, Ben held up a grenade as a signal to one of his unit.
He knew what I wanted, so he sort of gave me the nod and was just screaming out a 3 count, which basically meant I knew at 3 he was going to jump up and start and put some covering fire in so I could get a grenade away. When you're pushing your face into the dirt, which isn't doing anything, it's not helping you in any way, but it makes you feel better. That's when you know you're taking some rounds. I wasn't going to sit there and do nothing and just watch my mates die. So I just ran at the wall.
In the face of 2 machine guns firing.
Seemed like a good plan at the time.
With Ben drawing fire away from his unit, his patrol commander hurled a grenade and silenced the 3rd machine gun. The fighting would continue for another 7 hours.
The fighting that they did, and utter disregard for their own safety, because that's what we do. That who dares wins.
Well, if you like your footy and you like a good cause, what about this? Charity footy match played this weekend in Bellingen. Is all proceeds going to the family of killed SAS soldier Sergeant Matt Locke, who was killed in Afghanistan in October 2007. Proceeds are going to the Mates for Mates, who support veterans and their families. What a good cause. Here's some of the names playing in the game. Brett Finch, Jason Riles, Michael Crocker, Danny Medeiros are all playing.
Well done.
As well as a bloke I think will be the star of the show, the Victoria Cross recipient, of course, to talk about Corporal Ben Robert Smith, and we've got him on the line. Corporal, welcome to the Grill Team.
G'day, boys. How you going?
Hey, Benny.
Good, mate.
We're going well, Corporal. Can I ask you, have you played rugby league before? How do you think you're going to go?
No, I've played rugby league before. I'm actually a union player, so I tend to run around the field in the wrong direction, so it's all right.
Well, you've got the body for a front row forward, mate. I think they'll be putting you straight up front.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. Should be all right.
Can I just ask you, what sort of fellow was Sergeant Matt Locke?
Look, Matt was he was a great bloke, mate. And it's one of those things, when you lose someone, everyone stands up and says, that bloke was a great guy. But Matt actually was that guy that you would look to when things went bad, mate. He was an outstanding individual. He was a mentor to me. And when we were away, he was probably one of the most courageous blokes I've ever fought with, mate, to be honest with you. And that's one of the reasons that, in the end, Matt lost his life, because he was leading from the front. But he's done a lot of things that were inspirational to a lot of people in a number of battles over his time. And unfortunately, as it is, mate, it's just war. Sometimes you're not lucky. And in Matt's case, that's what happened. But he was certainly an inspirational bloke.
Now, talking about these type of charity matches, do you ever think that it could have been you, it could have been a whole heap of other mates of yours, the type of life that you've led over the last 10 years or so?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the bottom line is it's just one of those things. We accept what we do as a job. All the boys are the same. We don't tend to think or dwell on it too much. It is a job, and it's a responsibility as well in what we do and looking after each other. So, if things go wrong, you tend to just look at it as in, we know the risks. We know what happens when, things don't go our way. and you don't dwell on it. You don't tend to think about it too much because, you know, you can't, if you do, it takes your mind off the game and off the job that you need to do. So you always think about our mates, but we don't tend to dwell on, you know, what could have been.
Corporal, when a war ends and people, you know, come home, oftentimes, you know, for Joe Public, we think, well, that's the end of the war. But for blokes like yourself and your comrades, really the war continues. This terrible thing, post-traumatic stress disorder. Can I ask you, how are you travelling and some of the guys you fought alongside?
Mate, to be honest, it's not something that has affected me at the moment. You know, and what I have made a conscious effort to do, obviously, is utilise the profile to try and highlight PTSD to the normal or general community, because there are a lot of, particularly young guys that are struggling, hence getting involved with charities like Mates for Mates or the White Cloud Foundation, which I'm a patron of. It's focused solely on the mental aspect or depression in general, but you know, it's one of those things. I think at the moment we've got maybe the tip of the iceberg being exposed, and in 5 to 10 years I think it's going to get a lot worse, because some of these kids, you know, they're 19, they go away, they get 1 year in the army, they watch their mate get vaporised by an IED, and they come home and they get out of the army and they've got no one to talk to. Their experience has been completely bad, and they don't really understand why they were there, because they haven't been in the army long enough. You know, and in my case, and particularly my unit, we tend to be there for quite a while, and we understand explicitly why we're there and what we're doing. We believe in it, and I think that really helps with those issues.
Yeah, we often see movies, we hear about reports, we read data on exactly what Afghanistan is like. What is it like?
Look, mate, it's funny because it's a really picturesque place. When you're there, you can't help but notice the mountains, and, you know, particularly when it's colder and there's snow and it's open expanses. But it's actually a really harsh country, no matter where you go, whether you're out in the desert or in the green belt, which is quite heavily vegetated. It's just harsh. You know, it's rocky ground. There's sort of no flat ground, for example, and it's always prickly bushes. It's just not it's not like Australian bush. You know, there's no areas where you sort of just could sit down without having to kick a few rocks away. Yeah. So I don't know, it's hard to explain, mate. It's like the moonscape piece, but then you walk into the green belt and it's literally like what you'd expect when they talk in the Bible or something about the Garden of Eden, because you walk in there and you've come out of this horrendous desert, and as soon as you hit the green belt, there's this lush, flat, perfectly manicured green grass and you know, orchards of fruit trees. You know, it's very surreal.
Wow. Well, no rest for you this week, Corporal. You got the charity footy match this weekend in Bellingen.
Stress Gem Hemis.
For SAS soldier Sergeant Matt Locke, who passed away in Afghanistan in 2007. All proceeds going to Mate for Mates, who support veterans and families. You'll see Brett Finch, Jason Rolls, Michael Crocker, Danny Medeiros, and Victoria Cross recipient, Corporal Ben Robert-Smith. And Corporal, good luck. And, mate, if you want to run at anyone, I would suggest Brett Finch.
Yeah.
Join your boys.
Thanks for the chat, brother.
The Triple M Grill Team.